This is my kind of Valentine's Day movie. The action and martial arts choreography was top-notch, the acting was on point, the story was easy to follow, and the characters were relatable.
It's fast-paced and fun.
In the end, the good guys win and the bad guys lose. I think where it loses a lot of people is that it's not a love conquers all kind of movie. The main character, Marvin Gable, left the criminal organization his family runs when he couldn't bring himself to kill Rose, who stole from the family. When Rose resurfaced, Marvin was once again thrust into war with his family in order to protect her, even though he has a satisfying life as a successful real estate agent. Once Marvin has successfully vanquished all of his foes, including the older brother that held power over him his entire life, he declares his love for Rose and they might live happily ever after.
Or not.
It's not really clear. One of the things that I found particularly relatable in this movie is Marvin's preference for the simple life of a real estate agent rather than the high-stakes life of an organized crime lord, even though he's equally qualified and gifted in both fields. I've never had to live a life of high crimes, but my son has a genetic condition and raising him for the first 11 years was a lot of work with a lot of late-night drives to the emergency room for problems like him forgetting to breathe. It was an exciting, energetic time in our family's life. Now that it's behind us, I'm often criticized for preferring to take things slow when I go on vacation, and being almost as happy sitting in a motel room writing a story as going on rides at an amusement park. I've had to explain more often than I care to think that I've had enough excitement to last me a lifetime. I'm ready for a little boring in my life. There was a time in my life when I romanced the exciting life. Truth be told, even though it was terrifying to take my son to the hospital every time, it also felt good to know I was overcoming it consistently.
At least, for a while.
It did get to a point where it stopped feeling good though. It got to a point where I had a system to deal with my son's fragility, and at that point it was no longer a test of my abilities.
It was just hard.
Not having anyone to turn to who understood made it even harder. My preparations and careful planning was seen as paranoid. Since he was our first child, I didn't realize that things were different with him than any other child. But I did know that every time someone suggested that we relax and take it easy as my critics suggested, my son would end up in the hospital. I could do it all again if I had to. If my son had a turn for the worse, I could wake up at midnight to get him to the hospital over and over just like we did when he was little. Given my rathers, I would rather not. I would rather my son stays healthy and happy and, in a word, boring. I have a lot more fun with him boring than exciting. And I'm never bored as we talk about his imaginary adventures with his favorite characters or going to the zoo or whatever other fun we get into together. So this life is the life I prefer. How about you? Do you still crave adventure, or are you ready to settle down and have a little boring for a while?